This is something a friend of mine sent me an email, and it might be just a lot of conspiracy drama. It could be. I always look at these type of things. It might be floating around the internet. I saw on YouTube they had some presentations about this and people talking about it. But I've been around a while. I guess I'm like getting even close to 60 years old, so I've been around. But the little difference between me, even though I'm older than a lot of people else that are older, I'm very mentally alert and physically fit, like I'm like a brand new older person. So I think clearly, but sometimes the experience from seeing so many of these rumors that did not pan out, I look at this stuff like, well, maybe, but more than likely it's a bunch of BS. But I don't like discounting everything just offhand saying it's garbage. This is supposedly some notes from private investigator Douglas Hagman, who was a confidential contact within the Department of Homeland Security. Now, I'm going to just show what this is, but I'm also going to state, even if all these notes are true, it's a discussion of people who think something's going to play out a certain way. Even they don't know. They don't know. Even if they think they got the facts straight. Being a person, like I was in the military, and sometimes I had access to things that were supposedly it's a secret information and all this kind of garbage and what they think is going to happen. A lot of times stuff didn't happen the way they thought. For instance, when they had Desert Storm going on, they expected, they were 100% sure there was going to be a Muslim insurrection in the Philippines. They were 100% sure. Guess what? They were wrong. But, it's so, sometimes even if this entire thing out here that I'm going to show is correct, it doesn't mean it's like good information as far as what went on in the meeting. It doesn't mean that just because these things were discussed, that's going to happen that way. So I don't want people freaking out too much. But anyway, he took some notes. First page, and this is from the handwritten notes. They show these down here. Here's the handwritten notes. And it states, civil war is coming into the U.S., and there's no stopping it. Now, that could be true if there's a true economic collapse. And maybe there is going to be one. You never know. You never know, man. Anyway, Department of Homeland Security is preparing for economic collapse, and money will be worthless. Interesting. Never seen it this bad. Everybody's talking about what they personally will do. Talking about the people within the government. Department of Homeland Security brass don't care and are conducting overt actions in plain sight. Most incoming troops are not for training. Some are, but are as part of a larger force. Now, usually I find sometimes in the military a lot of people that are higher up don't give a shit. To really put it in plain language, they're careerists. They're careerists. Depends on who it is, but a lot of them are. A lot of them are. You'll find less of that kind of garbage going on in the Marine Corps, though. There you really have the true blue Americans for the most part, my opinion. But my opinion is prejudiced on that since I was one. Anyway. All known BHO, Barack Hussein Obama, is constitutionally illegitimate. Yeah, well, I knew that, but whatever. It's like, yeah, I know the thing about the birth certificate, but shit, it's like they just put anybody, well, they can't, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What can I tell you? All in Congress know this, and their families are being threatened to keep quiet. See, when I see these two lines, I kind of look at this thing like it's total BS because, I definitely see Obama's birth as not being would disqualify him from being U.S. president, but they put that in here on a meeting like, I don't know, I don't think that's here nor there. And it goes to show you, the president doesn't actually run the country. There's other people that control him behind the scenes that run the country. So it's not, the country's not actually run by laws. It's run by powers behind the scenes. It's kind of been like that for a while. High-level News Corp people talked to the highest Department of Homeland Security, TSA. The plan is to get people conditioned to seeing troops, paramilitary, get them conditioned and being searched. Dollar will collapse. That will be the bigger event. The trigger starts in Europe and then heads here. When we see that, start counting because we only have days left. Now, this goes along with the Lindsey Williams prediction. Now, I'm going to state this. I don't trust any garbage that's coming out of Lindsey Williams. Period. There's some truth and there's a mixture. The best disinformation has truth. Like he'll state, yeah, the Libyan revolution's going to happen or whatever. But he's throwing it, either him or the guy that's giving him the information is throwing out BS too. And one thing I look at, because he stated specifically silver was going to be $75 to $100 an ounce this year. And, he comes up with this lame excuse that sometimes the elite get it wrong. Well, you know what? The elite don't get it wrong when I'm looking at that, because I found that to be a blatant lie. And I'm going to state something here for some of the newer subscribers to follow along on this. Eric Sprott was selling his PSLV shares back on April 28th. That was Thursday. I went over this a few times. But, interesting too, I found out in a later interview that David Morgan said he sold his silver at that time too, on Thursday. It crashed that weekend. These guys are pretty smart, aren't they? Anyway, it goes on. This is actually off of Kid Dynamite's blog. I'll post a link. I like this guy. He's pretty good. And he talks about, Sprott sells more PSLV shares back in July and also July 14th. And July 23rd, August 2nd, right? Another thing. And then, there's this article here that appeared in Seeking Alpha about shareholders should sell Sprott PSLV because of the high premium to net asset value. It says that insiders are selling. So you should too. This is right before silver crashed. This was September 21st, 2011. Pretty interesting, huh? And I look at the silver bloggers, and I don't know what the heck the deal is, but none of them warned anybody about this stuff, as far as I know. So buy, we got them on a run. But my point of saying this is that a lot of people knew when to sell silver this in 2011. A lot of people knew. Both Eric Sprott and David Morgan sold right before the big crash, and then Sprott and also Sprott insiders were selling PSLV back in August when the thing was high. So they knew. That's my contention, unless it's just pure dumb luck. But my question is, how come Lindsey Williams, elite inside information guy, was telling everybody that silver's going up to $75 to $100 an ounce, and by the end of 2011, when it went down down to $26 an ounce? Yet all these other people knew when to sell. That's why I don't trust that guy at all now. Period. A couple other things too. So when I'm highlighting this article, I'm highly suspicious of this. Dollar will collapse. That will be the bigger event. It also doesn't agree with a couple things that even Lindsey Williams said. So the dollar will not collapse. He was saying the dollar would be dead. In other words, it would lose the world reserve currency. So I kind of smell that this is a big exaggeration. It's part of the fear campaign. So Bernanke and Geithner, top-level bankers, will be in hiding. Yeah, right. See, I don't buy that either. Election year, watch BHO's body language. He looks afraid of not getting elected. Yeah. That might be true, because I think there's other powers in this country that don't want to see him elected. So, And then second page says, then race riots, class riots. If there's an economic collapse in the cities, that could very well be. It says Farrakhan is on a DIA payroll and will help start these riots. I very much doubt that. I think that guy's actually sincere. That's the way I read it. So he supposedly is on a Defense Intelligence Agency payroll. That's what it says according to this. I don't think so. I don't think so. Then civil war, not sporadic riots and uprisings here and there. There will be no food, no ETMs, no gas. People run into camps for assistance. Guns must be abandoned and left with police in order to get food. You know, Obama and Bernanke are behind every stupid economic move. See, this statement I don't buy either because I think they're low-level players, very low-level players. Something with China troops here, but China. See, that's something else. I don't get that. That I don't buy into. China troops here. Don't buy into that. That's some more of the Red Dawn conspiracy garbage crap. So I basically look at this as it is a bunch of hyped up garbage. I know some people would tell me I'm full of it. I don't know, but I've been around long enough and I heard this stuff a million times. And I lean more right wing, far more so. But I can think clearly. I think this is disinformation. But China's debt is called in 5.5 trillion total. I don't know. How easy it will be to quell 300 million people? No, the question is how easy it will be able to quell 300 plus starving people who are unprepared. I don't know. Why would they be starving? That's what I don't understand. Why would they be starving? Shoot to kill order during the collapse will be given to police. End of meeting. More later. I personally think this whole story is a big fear campaign. To tell you the truth. There might be some truth to it. But if something happens, that's why I always state, to actually be calmly preparing for any kind of contingency. And, there's always something. I mean, if you're in the Midwest, there could be a tornado that could knock out power. It could knock out roadways. You might need to have food storage and electrical power to survive. If you're in California, you might have that big killer earthquake that happens someday. And it's always good to be prepared. Not to go crazy about it, but to be prepared. If you live up near Yellowstone Park, there might be that big super volcano at some point in time. Or if you're down in North Carolina or Florida, you might have a hurricane that could cause a lot of problems. So those types of issues are actually more realistic. I am kind of suspicious of this story, big time. But I know it's been circulating a lot over the internet. And this is actually coming from a person that's a little more, I'd say I lean pretty heavily towards right wing, but I have a very open mind about a lot of different things. And I'm very suspicious of a lot of garbage that's being fed to people. And the one thing I do agree with greatly that Lindsey Williams stated is that the elite do have a campaign of fear. And they're trying to keep people off balance and not have them think. So it's always good to think clearly, stay calm, and not freak out about every stupid thing going on. But I tend to believe that this story is a bunch of disinformation. And even if these things were said at the meeting, the people probably don't even know what the hell the future is anyway. But that does not mean you should not prepare calmly for any kind of contingency. Like I stated, even if there's no economic collapse, there's always something that can come up. Not that you're going to freak out about it and dwell upon it every day, but like I stated, if you're in California, there could be this big earthquake, or if you're in Oklahoma, you could have this tornado, or if you're in North Carolina or Florida, you could have a hurricane, or maybe if you live near the Yellowstone area, maybe they'll have that big volcano they're talking about someday. Or the Madrid line will go off with the earthquake. That's another one, right? But, sometimes something could happen really out of the blue. So it is good to be prepared. It's not stupid. But actually, if people did a little bit of preparation, had some kind of contingencies, even this type of thing that would happen would not be a problem. If they're talking about total economic collapse. But I still like to know how that would happen because even if the money collapsed, there's always ways to trade. Remember that. There's always ways to keep things going. There's always ways to trade.